Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Raising Cane's studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Hope your work week's off to a good start. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Denton Day, college football overtime on Sirius XM is going to be with us at 2:30. We'll talk about the national final with Denton, which comes up here in a week. But a lot of news in the transfer portal the last couple of weeks. Last time LSU went out to the Valley of the Sun and picked up a quarterback, it worked out okay. Jaden Daniels ended up hoisting some hardware here in South Louisiana. It looks like Sam Leavitt is going to be next in line here in Baton Rouge, although Matt Zenitz of CBS is reporting that Tennessee is still holding out hope that they can get the former Arizona State quarterback. But to talk about Sam Leavitt and what LSU fans could expect should he show up in Baton Rouge, it's Chris Karpman from Sun Devil Source. Give us a little bit of time here on this Monday. We appreciate it, Chris. How are you?
I'm doing well. Just trying to stay out of the transfer portal vortex.
It's hard to do so. LSU signed 25 kids, so it's just it's a constant cycle of players coming on in. Let's talk about Sam Leavitt and the impact that he made for 2 seasons as the starter there at Arizona State, starting with obviously his freshman season that it resulted in a playoff run. What made him as good as he was, and what made that team as good as they were 2 years ago when he won Big 12 Newcomer of the Year?
Yeah, just tremendous competitiveness and desire. I think the top line perspective, he benefited quite a lot from a very potent run game that was led by Cam Scadaboo, who was one of the best running backs in the country, top 4 in the Heisman voting, and also Jordan Tyson, one of the best wide receivers in the country that season. But I think Leavitt was really great at limiting mistakes, especially for a redshirt freshman who had never started before. His interception rate and his jeopardy ball rate were extremely low. And he has really good physical tools. He's a borderline great athlete for a quarterback in terms of his ability to scramble, to extend drive. He's got really good pocket movement and ability. He makes off-platform throws with ease, a lot of arm talent. So there's a lot of really great physical traits that he has, and then he really minimized the mistakes in that season.
How much does he use his athleticism to run the football game in, game out?
So they didn't really do a lot of designed runs. It wasn't like the Haynes Kings of the world where you're intentionally trying to do a lot of read option or design quarterback power or draws. It's more just his athleticism enabled him situationally to understand when to run, to move the chains, and he is very good at that. I don't think that you want to expose him too much. He is coming off of foot surgery to repair a stretched out Liz Frank tendon or ligament in the middle of his foot. That's what ended his season. And some might say that how much that he runs or had to run or whatever could have contributed to exposing himself to that type of an injury. And that's also going to keep him to where he's limited in spring ball. So that makes it a little bit more of a challenging introduction to the offense of Lane Kiffin. And he won't be able to do quite as much as you would probably like to have him doing for somebody who's a new quarterback coming in.
And you alluded to this a little bit in your first answer, but I'm curious, if you took his running ability away and purely put him in the pocket, what kind of just pure passer would you call him?
He's accurate. He can make all the throws. When I say accurate, he's reasonably accurate. He can get better. but he has arm talent to make all the throws. I think his tendency was he wanted to throw the ball to Jordan Tyson a little bit more than perhaps he should have. That's a hard thing because Tyson's so good and he's so able to get open, and ASU's offense did such a good job of moving him around the formation to try to get him into spots that they could take advantage. But I think that Levitt's tendency was less likely to try to make progression reads and to really identify vulnerabilities away from Tyson in coverage. So that's another area where I'm interested to see how he does at LSU, which I'm sure is going to have a variety of weapons. And then part of that, of course, is like how much confidence and calmness is felt in the pocket to be able to get to some of these second and third looks in a progression, and whether or not he didn't feel like he had that, especially this past season at ASU, which had some injuries along the offensive line compared to what he would have liked.
Chris Karpman's our guest. He covers Arizona State for Sun Devil Source, talking a little bit of Sam Levitt here on this Monday. Tell me about off the field in the locker room. I mean, transfer quarterbacks are all over the place now, and he was a transfer into Arizona State at one point as well. So how do you feel like he is as a leader, as a teammate?
Yeah, he actually is extremely hardworking, passionate. He was managed, I would say, by Kenny Dillingham very early on for being a little bit too abrasive with teammates, and just from demanding everybody do their jobs and be like responsible to what they're supposed to be doing on and off the field. And the fact that he hadn't started or demonstrated his own capability prior to that, I think was a little bit difficult. After he had that first season, then he really became a lot more respected, I think, by his teammates, especially given that he is a hard worker and a real passionate, fiery type of a guy. The way that things ended at ASU was it rubbed ASU's fans kind of the wrong way, because he decided to not go to ASU's football banquet before any reporting that he was going to be going to the transfer portal. So the way that things ended, I think, kind of undercut the reputation that he had prior to that. But there's no doubt that he's a top shelf competitor who wants to be great and is willing to push himself and his teammates toward that end.
Were you surprised he entered the transfer portal?
Not really, because we're in a world of financial considerations, and Sam Levitt is very likely to be paid between revenue share and NIL at the top of the market. He was the number one transfer portal overall player. I had heard even before Thorsby ended up at Texas Tech that he was going to get around $5 million. And Levitt, I expect to be kind of in that ballpark. I don't know exactly, but ASU spent probably half as much on a quarterback replacement, and then ASU ended up with the number one wide receiver transfer haul in the country with two top five wide receivers. And so there's strategy involved in how you construct the roster. Had ASU spent all the money that maybe would have enabled the possibility of Levitt returning, it would have been harder to surround him with a lot more talent. And I think that Levitt knew that going to a place like LSU, that wouldn't be a concern.
And last one here, I want to deviate over to Jaden Daniels. What was your impression of what he became at LSU after 2 seasons? Could you have envisioned that was a Heisman Trophy winner for those first 3 years at Arizona State?
Well, when Jaden Daniels signed with ASU, I called him a generational talent. I thought he was the best quarterback prospect that I had ever seen sign with ASU, going back 20-plus years covering recruiting. He was misused, I think, at ASU. They tried to do things with him that he wasn't as quite ready for or as well suited for. And a lot of the coaching problems contributed to him sort of not having as much of a growth in his subsequent seasons after his first season. And I think that LSU's coaching staff, Ryan Kelly in particular, did a really great job when Daniels got to LSU of adjusting things offensively that worked well within his comfort zone, and then gradually expanded what he was able to do in a way that contributed to Daniels being extremely successful. I was surprised that he was able to, as quickly as possible, or as quickly as he did, develop into a Heisman Trophy quarterback and, top overall pick. But I am not surprised whatsoever that he had that ability in him that eventually got to that place.
Let's hope Sam Levitt has a similar trajectory here in Baton Rouge. That'll make a lot of people around here very, very happy. Chris, we appreciate a little bit of time on this Monday. Have a great week.
My pleasure. Thanks. Chris
Karpman from Sun Devil Source over there talking Sam Levitt and LSU. For those that may be a little bit confused with the thing that I said there at the top, it feels like Sam Levitt is going to be at LSU. There hasn't been an announcement from LSU as if there's some sort of signature that's been delivered to this point, and Matt Zenitz is reporting that Tennessee is still holding out hope. Well, and the ink's not dry. You certainly can't hold out hope. So it's just a weird deal. It's like anything in free agency. There are some reports that things are trending a certain way, and then it becomes official. I certainly expect that that's going to be the case, but as of right now, Tennessee still feels like it can throw its hat in the ring. So hopefully that's not the case, because I spent the first 15 minutes of the show today talking about how big a deal it was that LSU landed Sam Levitt. So hopefully that is the case. And you heard from Chris there that that's a guy that's got a lot of really good traits. He mentioned the great athleticism. He mentioned that he can make all the throws. He mentioned that he's incredibly competitive and a fierce competitor and a leader. And then things are a little bit bumpy on the way out with the banquet and all that. And it's just the way the calendar lines up and the way things go. Those are kind of things that happen with the transfer portal opening up. But I think that Levitt's a difference maker, and I think that he makes everything else go into motion because you just had to get quarterback right. And I feel like LSU got as good a quarterback as anybody in the transfer portal. Certainly on 3 thinks he's the best. So it's a big deal that LSU is able to get Sam Levitt to Baton Rouge. We'll continue to talk about that with Denton Day coming up in 15 minutes as we move forward here on this Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Fabry Chevrolet GMC. Fabry Chevrolet GMC. Make the short drive to St. Francisville, right there on Highway 61. You know that there's a dealership right there on 61. You go, I didn't know it was a Fabry. Well, it wasn't until October 1st. They've been rocking and rolling over there for October, November, December, into January. So a little bit over 3 months now at that location, and so proud of it. You know, the Fabry family's been here for 35 years, 3 locations, 5 brands. You know what you're going to get when it comes to dealing with the Fabry family. It's going to be a pleasant buying experience. It's going to be incredible customer service. You're going to get wonderful service in the service department as well, where they service all makes in that service department. So if you're having some issues, you're up there in the St. Francisville area, in the Felicianas or in Point Capee, even North Baton Rouge or Baker, head on over to St. Francisville and see the folks at Fabry Chevrolet GMC. Happy to get that service work done on your vehicle. Again, they're Highway 61 in St. Francisville. You can find that entire inventory online at fabrychevrolet.com. fabrychevrolet.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Well, I'll tell you this with confidence. Sam Levitt's going to be a rich dude. I don't know how rich, and I don't know exactly where the money's going to come from, and I'm not 100% certain what color jersey he's going to wear next year, but he's going to be rich. This is the latest tweet from the folks over at On3. Says, new, Tennessee and Sam Levitt's camp have been in regular contact throughout Monday, and the Volunteers were never told he was going to LSU, Pete Nakos reports. Now, everybody reported this morning that LSU is in agreement with Sam Levitt, and that is probably true. I don't think anyone just made that up. You had Hayes Fawcett had it, Pete Thamel had it, Shea Dixon had it, Matt Moscona checked on it for LouisianaSports.net. I think LSU did have an agreement with Sam Levitt, but an agreement is worthless unless you got ink on paper. If that happened and Tennessee just doesn't know about it, great. If it didn't, and Tennessee's still hustling, well, they can still hustle. The only deadline here is going into the portal. And Leavitt's in the portal, so he can take his time with this. There's not like a hard and fast deadline that's anywhere near right now that he's got to make a call. And again, I don't mean to freak everyone out here. That's not the point. I'm telling you, I think Sam Leavitt's going to come to LSU. But I don't think Nakos is making this stuff up either. And the fact of the matter is that as the quarterback dominoes begin to fall, and Sorsby goes to Texas Tech, and Chambliss says he's going to stay at Ole Miss, and you start to look around, and the big name guys are basically taken, and Leavitt's kind of the only one standing there, well, you can drive that bidding war up. You can. And so maybe that's what he's doing, or maybe Nakos is late to the party and things have already happened in Baton Rouge. I don't know. I can't tell you. Until LSU's official account tweets out, calling Baton Rouge official Sam Leavitt LSU, we can speculate. I don't know how healthy that is, but you can. But what about outside of Leavitt? We didn't spend a lot of time about that in the first hour. And LSU has made a move beyond Sam Leavitt, and it is going to get Landon Clark from Elon. Now, look, I said this on Friday, and I will say this again today, okay? Because Lane Kiffin took a quarterback from Ferris State and produced a team capable of going to the Final Four, of going 11-1, that doesn't mean that every quarterback from D2 or the FCS or the G5 is going to come in and just high power an offense towards 11-1. There's a reason that Landon Clark was at Elon and not Ohio State. He's 6 feet tall. He's 185 pounds. He's not going to run a 4.2, but he's played some football. He started 12 games this year. He threw for 2,300 yards. He threw for 18 touchdowns. He also showed some athleticism, ran the ball, and he's got 3 years of eligibility remaining, and he's probably not going to demand that he's your starting quarterback. So this is the aisle that you've got to shop on when you have no quarterbacks. When you have no quarterbacks, you're going to have to go take a chance on a lower level player with maybe a lower ceiling at a reasonable price to come in and accept being the backup. And I think that that's what Landon Clark is agreeing to at this point. We're still going after Leavitt, Sam Leavitt. We're still going after Husan Longstreet. We're still going after some other quarterbacks. But if you want to come here, here's what we can promise you financially. You've got 3 years of eligibility remaining. Oh, by the way, if we get Leavitt, he can't practice in the spring. You'll get a ton of reps. It's an attractive spot to make some money, get some practice reps, and then you're probably not going to be the starter in the fall. This is the aisle you've got to shop on. This does not mean that LSU signed the next Trinidad Chambliss. Small school, small stature, started some games, won some games. There are parallels, but not every D2 quarterback is going to come to the SEC and set Georgia's defense on fire. That doesn't happen very often. Speaking of Husan Longstreet, LSU is going to continue to recruit him. And it would be awesome if LSU could land him and have 3 quarterbacks in the mix. Back in the day, when you had Marcus Randall, Jamarcus Russell, Matt Flynn, Jarrett Lee, like you had this pipeline of quarterbacks and they all stuck around. Like that doesn't happen anymore. You got to go get new quarterback or 2 every year. In LSU's case, 3 is probably going to be the number they got to get to. Emil Picarella is on the roster. He had some opportunities to go play some places at a smaller level. He wanted to come to LSU, so he's there. That's a nice inventory insurance policy as a 3rd, 4th string quarterback. But LSU's not just going to stop with the quarterback from Elon. They're not just going to stop with, you got Sam Leavitt, he's your starter. Okay. You got to have some bodies at quarterback. And LSU is working on that. So hopefully you get ink dry on Sam Leavitt today. You continue to recruit Longstreet, who, look, may want to go somewhere where he's guaranteed to be a starter. If he comes and Sam Leavitt comes, he's probably not going to be the starter. But injuries happen. Certainly did with Levitt this year. Certainly did at Lane Kiffin's previous job with Austin Simmons. And you might put yourself in position to play in a very advantageous spot. LSU's got a lot of good wide receivers. They bring back their 2 running backs. We'll see what they do on the offensive line, but it's a pretty attractive place to come play quarterback. Seems like they've got Levitt in. They're going to continue to recruit Longstreet. You've got Clark in. This is if they can do that, if they can get Levitt, Longstreet, and Clark, that's as good as you can do. That's a proven starter. That's a former 5-star, and that's a depth piece from a smaller school that was willing to come and be a part of the team. That's as good as you can do. So I'll be monitoring this. If anything breaks for the next 25 minutes, we'll tell you. But this feels like a really good job by Lane Kiffin, Charlie Weiss Jr., George McDonald, Billy Glasscock, this entire offensive brain trust to go out there and work a very, very difficult situation in the portal with no quarterbacks on your roster to go get, yes, a star and also some depth pieces behind it. Not done yet. You don't have Levitt. You don't have Longstreet. All you have is Clark. But they're moving in the right direction. It feels like they're doing a very, very good job. And so we'll continue to monitor it as we move forward. Check out LouisianaSports.net for free. All your LSU content is there, again, for free. And check out Hunt on LSU, wherever you find your podcast, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google. All your LSU content right there at Hunt on LSU. Let's talk big picture. National college football storylines, the semifinals, the final, all that coming up with Denton Day when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Lifetime Roofing. LifetimeRoofingLA.com is that website. They are so proud at Lifetime Roofing, one, to be part of this community. They're Baton Rouge natives, Baton Rouge lifers, and they're thrilled to be here. But they're also proud to offer a lifetime workmanship warranty. Like, it's a big investment to get a new roof. If you want to go with a local company that understands what needs to be done in South Louisiana and that's willing to offer a lifetime workmanship warranty on that new roof, you got to work with Lifetime Roofing. Got a gorgeous new facility there just off College Drive, a growing and wonderful team of people that care about this community. So if you're looking for a new roof, whether that there's been damage and you need to file a claim, or perhaps you just need a new roof and you want to look to sell your home, but you got to get a new roof put on it, you can buy one retail. They will help you with financing options. 0% up to 18 months. That is same as cash. Who does that? Who does 0% up to 18 months? Who does a lifetime workmanship warranty? Lifetime Roofing does. Lifetime Roofing does. They're online at lifetimeroofingla.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Let's continue our college football conversation. Denton Day, SiriusXM College Football Overtime with us on Mondays throughout the season. So got one more to do after this one. Denton, how are you, sir?
I'm good. Are you guys celebrating a new quarterback?
Well, now Zenitz is tweeting that Tennessee doesn't think they're out of it. So I don't know if we can celebrate or not. I don't know if we prematurely threw the confetti all over the place. I don't know what's going on out in the transfer portal world. I guess until somebody tweets something official, we don't really know. But what are your thoughts on Levitt and what he potentially could be here in Baton Rouge?
I mean, I think he's the right guy. I also think he's probably one of the only guys that Lane Kiffin could get at this point. It would have been terrible if he, got stamped out for a quarterback by everybody in the portal once he took over. So I think he's the best available option, and he lands in your spot. You got to feel pretty good about that.
There's concerns about the injury, and so we can't. It's just speculation as to how healthy he is or what he looks like when he comes back. But at his best, at his healthiest, what are your impressions of Levitt as a quarterback?
I think he's a good player. I think when he's at his best and when he's at his healthiest, he almost beat Texas, 2 years ago. I know that was a little bit of a long time ago, and you don't want to put too much stock into something that happened 2 years ago, but that's a really good player right there. And you need a new guy to lead the offense under Lane Kiffin. I think he's the best available option. So, I know they're saying Tennessee might still be in it, but now it's up to LSU to come up with any sort of money or resources that he needs to say, no, we're a better program than Tennessee. You want to come play for us, then get him there.
I think that's the plan. I think it should work itself out here pretty shortly. Ole Miss's season is done. Miami knocks them out over in the Fiesta Bowl. Just an incredible football game. What was your biggest takeaway from that?
Defensive line is truth. And I think you can kind of describe it that way for all of the games or a lot of the games that we have seen in this college football playoff. If you don't have a great defensive line, you're going to be in trouble. And Miami, quarterback-wise, Carson Beck had a great drive to end the game. So you got to give flowers when they are deserved. But that game was won, and their run has been really defined by the defensive line and the guys who can get after the quarterback. I think that's what the difference was. Ole Miss did not have that, and Miami did.
As far as where Ole Miss goes from here, do you feel like that might be a high watermark for them, or do you feel like there's a good chance that Pete Golding, the Grove Collective, can keep things trucking forward?
No, it's a high watermark. Look, man, the run was fun, right? And they got to kind of stick it to the big mean villain and Lane Kiffin, but Ole Miss has vastly outkicked their coverage. And even in an era where anybody can win, we're seeing that with Indiana, likely going to be the ones to win a week from now and win the national championship. They are still behind a little bit when it comes to everybody else in the SEC. So I think they kind of had the stars aligned for them. They caught lightning in a bottle. Enjoy that run. It was fun, but once LSU gets back, once Bama gets back, and there's a whole host of other programs that have been down in the dumps for a while. Auburn's another example. Sooner or later, these programs are going to catch back up. So maybe they can get to this point again in the next couple of years, but I would not anticipate that Ole Miss is going to be back in the same spot a year from now.
What about Miami? How do you contextualize what Mario Cristobal has done there and what you think their prospects are moving forward?
First of all, he's a weirdo. Outside of that, outside of my personal feelings about him, I think he has done a really, really good job, and I think they've built a really, really good defensive front that you can kind of pitch yourself now to a lot of really talented players in the state of Florida. Say, hey, if you want to come play defensive line at a high level, we're the place to do it. I know everyone's going to give love to Carson Beck, and when you think of Miami, I think you still think of high-powered offense. You think of the swagger, but I think if you can build through that defensive line the way that they have, and you become defensive line you, for lack of a better term, that's what I think he should really be pressing at and say, this is what we want to be. This is what our identity is.
Let's talk about Oregon now. Their season is over. You get to the Final Four. That's good, but you were non-competitive. How do you sort that away?
Well, is Dylan Raiola the answer? That might have to be their answer. The way they got stomped out was stunning, honestly. I would have thought, hey, you've seen this Indiana team before. You're aware of the physicality that they're going to bring to a football game, and it did not matter. You did not stand a chance. Indiana did literally whatever they wanted. So they're going to have to do some readjusting. Their offensive line was not good enough. And we saw that in multiple games, even against Texas Tech. That offensive line was just not good enough, so they need to get way better at that position.
How do you feel like Oregon fans feel about Dan Lanning right now?
I would assume that you still love him.
Yeah.
But I don't think that you're erecting a statue anytime soon. I think they might have thought that this would have been a year to do that, and then you got stomped. I imagine just in general, 4 days, 5 days after a beatdown, you're not going to be thrilled. So I'd imagine you still love him, but it's about time that he starts, maybe less sound clips, maybe more wins, important wins that matter, and wins that result in championships.
Yeah, it's one thing to lose in the playoff. It's another to just get annihilated 2 years in a row. No, great teams. Florida, Ohio State, a lot of talent last year. Indiana's on a historic run here, but not competitive in either game whatsoever. And we'll talk about Indiana and Miami in their matchup next week when we do this at this time next week. But are you ready to start tossing Indiana in the discussions with 2019 LSU like I'm seeing all over the internet?
I would be hesitant to toss them in the discussions with that particular team. I think it might be fair to toss them in the discussion with the 2020 Bama team, maybe that 2018 Clemson team. They do everything so well, and it hasn't been competitive. And I think that not being competitive thing is really what sticks. Now, why I'd be hesitant with the 19 LSU team is you know this as well as anybody, all around, that was a great year for college football. If you just look at this year objectively, while it's been fun, certainly, this has not been like a barn burner year for the sport. There's been parity, which has been awesome, but I don't know that there's been like 4 or 5 really awesome teams the way that in 19 it felt like there were, and even maybe in 2018 with Clemson, it felt like there were. So that maybe knocks Indiana down a peg or two to where they're only the 3rd or 4th best team since 2000 that we have seen, which is still pretty good when you're considering, hey, you guys were a basketball school 2 years ago.
No, it's nuts. I mean, and watching them do what they did, I was all excited to sit down and watch that game on Friday as stress-free football. I was not stress-free on Thursday watching Ole Miss, but stress-free on Friday, and it was non-competitive by halftime. I had to flip on Cubs highlights.
I mean, you're just like, hey, is Wheel of Fortune on? Like,
Yeah.
what else can I watch here that's going to be at least somewhat entertaining for the next 2 hours? Because mentally, I told myself I was going to be staying up till 11 p.m. I wish that game was a little bit more competitive because that was the one that I was the most excited about. But Indiana is a juggernaut. Signetti has built a hell of a program.
We'll talk about the game matchup-wise next week, but just an early thought, Indiana's an 8.5-point favorite. I'm assuming you're not running to get money down on Miami?
No, I thankfully got money down on Indiana when it was 7.5 when it opened. I laid that immediately because that just seems to be the way that this run for them has gone. But if Indiana can, or rather, if Miami can have it competitive by halftime, I would consider that to be a win. I don't think Carson Beck is going to be able to outdo this particular Indiana team. I just don't.
He was awful for 3 quarters in the game against Ole Miss, but he showed up when I needed him. So I appreciate Mr. Beck for doing that and sending Ole Miss home so that I could enjoy the last 2 games of the college football season. As long as they're competitive, we will see. Denton, we appreciate some time. We'll talk next week in advance of the game.
Yep, I appreciate it as always.
Denton Day, SiriusXM's college football overtime with us on Mondays. Miami and Indiana, 8.5-point number right now. That game will be a week from tonight. Just a long layoff. I mean, you're talking about Thursday to the following Monday. That's 12 days.
I've been saying that since like a couple weeks ago because I'm like, dude, we started this August 30th.
Yeah.
And now we're almost at the end of January, or the middle of January, and we're still playing football. Oh, my goodness.
It's a lot. We didn't talk about Indiana and Oregon. That was a Friday night game.
What's there to talk about?
I'm stunned. Like I talked about it on Friday. I don't really get it. I don't understand. I don't watch Indiana and see individual efforts that are just mind-blowing to me. I just see a team that looks like it's on autopilot, just knocking things out the exact right way. Now, I'm going to get cranky when people start talking about 2019 LSU.
Oh, they're already doing it.
I'm going to get cranky. Every time somebody wins a national championship, we start talking about 2019 LSU. When they put that many guys in the first round, and they've got Burrow and Jefferson and Chase and Stingley and Delpit and Fulton and like all those offensive linemen with Cushenberry and Lewis and that have signed big NFL deals.
Chase on yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, just give me a break. Patrick Queen, Jacob Phillips, chill. Okay. Joe Burrow threw 60 touchdowns. 60.
Yeah.
Mendoza's at what, like 34?
If that, you know.
Give me a break.
But their excuse, well, Indiana's blowing everybody out so he doesn't play the fourth quarters. It's like, did you see
LSU's dusting folks.
I'm about to say, did you
We beat A&M by 70. Chill.
Did we not see the Peach Bowl against Oklahoma?
6 touchdowns the first half.
Yeah, like.
Maybe 7. He threw 7 in the game, 6 in the first half, I think.
I just know Justin Jefferson, he made a lot of money that day.
He did.
He made a lot of money that day.
He keeps making a lot of money.
Yeah.
No cash flow problem in the Justin Jefferson house at this current juncture.
Not even close.
All right. Well, that's a look at Miami and Indiana, or Oregon and Indiana from Friday night. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll wrap it up. Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge. SwingEasyGCBR.com. I was at Swing Easy Golf Club on Saturday. Fired it up. Played a little TPC Sawgrass. Made a birdie on the first hole. Was awesome. Gave it right back with a double on the second hole. Got around to the island green. Did knock it on the island green. But it was a great time. We got buckets of beer over there at Swing Easy Golf Club. There were 3 of us in there alternating shots. You got a chance to hit some drives, chips, putts, just kind of like you're out on the golf course, but you got big couch and music playing, and we had football on the TV. It was a great, great Saturday over at Swing Easy Golf Club. You can do the same. Coming up this Saturday, make plans for a week from tonight, Monday night, to watch the national championship game at Swing Easy Golf Club. You can play some golf, drink a couple of cold beers, put the game on TV with some buddies. It's a great, great place to spend a little bit of time. Cold this week, not a great time to go practice outside. You can do it inside at Swing Easy Golf Club on Seagan at Perkins. SwingEasyGCBR.com.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Looking for a fresh start this spring? How about Auctioneer's Eat Fit's alcohol-free for 40 challenge? It is back, a 40-day reset to kind of help you sleep better, boost your energy, make you feel your best. Not about giving anything up forever, but seeing how your body responds when you take a little bit of a break, maybe let things recharge a little bit. When you sign up, you get access to pre- and post-challenge metrics like body composition, blood pressure, some optional labs, and you can see the changes your body makes over 40 days. People that have done alcohol-free for 40 report clearer skin, more focus, brighter mood, better sleep, often within the first couple of weeks of doing so. Auctioneer's Eat Fit supports you with zero-proof drink ideas, nutrition tips, and a community of people all taking on that challenge together. Registration's open. So whether you join the official event or maybe just take the challenge from home, it's your chance to hit the reset button and feel the difference. So learn more. Sign up at alcoholfreefor40.com. That's the number 40, alcoholfreefor40.com over at Auctioneer. All right, let's play We'll Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Just take it.
All right, let's start it off with everybody's favorite Philadelphia Eagle, A.J. Brown, as he had a night to forget last night, as he had 3 crucial drops.
Yep.
It was seen getting into it with head coach Nick Sirianni on the sidelines at the end of the game. He didn't speak to the media after the game and left his jersey in Quinyon Mitchell's locker after the game with a note saying basically made the all-pro whatever, shout out, whatever. So is A.J. Brown out of Philly? Take it or leave it?
I'm going to take it. Is there a more dysfunctional yet good franchise than the Eagles? People are always cranky, and they're always good. It's so weird. Their team chemistry seems to be a little out of whack.
Terrible. Yeah. I mean,
but they always win.
Like, I was too young at the time, but this kind of feels like the Donovan McNabb or Terrell Owens little saga that was going on. Like, it's literally the same thing, just 20 years later. So, I don't know.
He was not good last night.
Yeah, was he? I mean, Jesus. So, I guess we can say A.J. Brown to the Saints?
And sign Olave to a big deal. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money in receiver.
Gotta pay 12. I forgot about that. So, Diet Mahomes, aka Dylan Raiola, announced his commitment to Oregon for next season. Since 2021, this will be Raiola's 6th school since high school. Is this the new age of college kids playing careers? Take it or leave it.
Take it. I mean, you got guys going. I mean, Levitz will be on his 3rd stop. I mean, we know TJ Finley around these parts.
Max Johnson?
Yeah, Max. I saw he's going somewhere else. I didn't even see where it was. That's just part of it. There's it's an interesting way to go about it. You feel like a lot of us went to one school and that's your school and you go back to it and that's just part of you. And if you went to 6, do you even have that? I don't know.
Little context. So he went to 4 in high school. So all 4 years in high school, 4 different schools, and this will be his 2nd school in college football. So that's the 6th. So
we'll see. I mean, look, he's a talented dude, and Oregon's done okay with the transfer quarterbacks. Bo Nix seemed to play pretty well. Dante Moore's done a good job, and so we'll see.
Gabriel.
Dylan Gabriel was great. So we'll see if he's the next one.
Okay, so the Green Bay Packers took a 21-3 lead
yes, they did.
to halftime and a 21-6 lead going to the 4th quarter. And then they gave up 25 points in the 4th quarter alone while managing just 6 points itself in the entire second half. With 1 year left on his deal, is this the end of the road for head coach Packers, Matt LaFleur? Take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave it. It sounds like they're trying to get him back and maybe do an extension worked out. That was I think the story is more about the Bears than the Packers. I mean, that is a town that is euphoric right now. I've watched a lot of reaction videos from living rooms. We talked about it on Friday. It's been decades of agony with the Bears dealing with the Packers, and it feels like they may be flipping things a little bit with Ben Johnson, with Caleb Williams, the way that they're playing. It was a sensational performance, an awesome game. I was glued to it on Saturday night, and Yeah, it was great stuff from them, and I think that's the story that the Bears have turned over a new leaf here. Not that the Packers are at the end of any sort of road. I think the Packers played pretty well for most of that game, and obviously would like to have Micah Parsons out there, but the Bears just made plays. It was incredible football.
You know what? It's funny you say that because I saw a crazy stat. I think it was since 2010. I think Caleb Williams now has like 50% of all wins against the Packers from a Bears quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's like Jay Cutler only beat him twice. And then Caleb Williams has beat him 3 times. And it's only been
look,
2
Mitch
years.
Trubisky wasn't beating him.
Yeah,
I promise you that. Whichever one of the McCowns was playing quarterback at one point by the Bears wasn't getting it done. No.
So that is crazy that Caleb Williams has 50% of all wins against Packers since, I don't know. So 5-time major champion Brooks Koepka announced on Monday that he's returned to the PGA Tour. Koepka noted there is a financial penalty involved.
Yes.
As they discussed that he will be forfeiting close to $50 or $85 million in potential earnings. Koepka also agreed to give $5 million to a charitable contribution. So, Brooks Koepka, you going to forfeit $85 million to come back? Take it or leave it.
I love it. I'll take
it.
Y'all know how I feel about this whole situation. Brooks, to his credit, always knew that LIV was a complete and total joke. It was a complete sham, just an absolute disaster. But he didn't know he was going to be healthy enough to play golf moving forward, and so he took the money. He wouldn't wear their goofy, stupid-looking uniforms in the majors. He knew it was stupid, and the first chance he had to get out, he got out. Now, the PGA Tour can't just welcome all these guys back who took all that money, which would then tell the players that stayed loyal, like, oh, you should have gone and taken the money and just come on back. But he's got to give $5 million to charity. He can't do the PIF thing where they give about big social media money at the end of every year. Not eligible for some of the FedEx Cup stuff, but he can play on the tour. And that's my goal in this whole thing, is to get guys back to playing together. So we'll see what Rahm decides to do. We'll see what Bryson decides to do, what Cam Smith decides to do. There are still some dominoes over there, but LIV is cracking. Everyone knows it's ridiculous and stupid, and Brooks was just the first guy to be able to get out of that deal. So I'm happy about it. I understand that it's just the first thing that needs to happen moving forward, but the quicker that LIV dies, the better.
Hey, Hunt, I'm not too sure, but I know you would know. I've heard that LIV, then you're not allowed to wear shorts anymore, and that was like the whole thing that you could wear.
It
shorts
wasn't the whole
over
thing. It was just something that they decided to do in the middle of it. But yeah, I think they went to pants, and they went to 72 holes because it was 54. They're trying to get world ranking points. Nobody watches it. Nobody cares. Everybody knows it's stupid. It's ridiculous.
Well, yeah, that's it for Take It or Leave It.
Talk briefly about Alex Bregman. My Cubs spent a little money. $175 million for Breggs. That's huge for the Cubs. The Cubs are acting like they would like to win the World Series for the first time since 2020. That's the last time they acted like they were trying to win the World Series. So this is the first big contract they give it out in a while. Just so happens that it goes to an LSU player. So this is super awesome. I'm excited to watch Bregman play for these 5 years. Hopefully these are some formative years for the Myers man in terms of watching the Cubs. I'm hopeful. He just turned 4, so by the time Bregman hangs it up with the Cubs, he'll be 9. Might know what's going on a little bit, and hopefully Bregman is part of the childhood memories that Myers makes watching the Cubs. But I'm excited to watch him. I think he's a great fit for the Cubs. He makes a lot of contact. He's going to hit for some power. He plays great defense. I think he's going to age pretty well with that flat swing and good defense over at third base. So I'm very, very excited when I saw the news. I'm thrilled that they were able to make the money work. It's not something the Cubs have done a lot of, so I'm fired up about that in a big way.
I can only imagine, because we were sitting here speaking it for about a couple weeks, so you got to give us a round of applause for that, because we spoke it for about 2 weeks now. I
think the Cubs are pretty good now. In the last week, they've added a frontline starter and Bregman at third base.
Wait, a pitcher, yeah.
So you're talking about a team that I think is clearly the best team in the Central. The Brewers always seem to screw that up for us, but and that gives you a shot. They're not as good as the Dodgers, but that's a super team. So you just got to hope that you either don't have to run into the playoffs or play your best baseball for a week when you play them. Like the Blue Jays almost beat them. They could be beat, but it's going to be tough. But for 162, this is going to be a good Cubs team, and I'm fired up that Bregman's a part of it. I know there's a lot of LSU fans that are Astros fans that had that time where Bregman goes from LSU to the Astros, and that's a cool transition there. I get my little run at it here for 5 years. So I got my phone started blowing up when it happened. I got texts from Jimmy, from Hanny, from a few people who were texting me all fired up about it. My Cubs fan group just went nuts. So he's not 24 anymore. He's 31, but got him on a 5-year deal. So hopefully he He does well there. Matt's going to drive you home next on After Further Review. I tell you that a little bit early here because Sam Levitt is a developing situation. There doesn't seem to be any sort of real concern in Baton Rouge. I think the agreement will be done. The report wasn't that Levitt is definitely going to Tennessee. The report was that Tennessee is still pursuing him. I think LSU feels pretty good, like they've got their guy. So Matt will give you all the updates on that between 3 and 6 on After Further Review. If you missed any of our show, catch it on demand. Have a great Monday evening. We're back tomorrow for the Tuesday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Learn more at asuonline.asu.edu.